Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet about writing that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing featured authors in one of our newest books called Writing, The Brave Healer's Guide for World Changers. We get to talk about writing today. You guys don't even know how excited I am about this. So I've got some pretty cool writing people in my Zoom room today that you are going to get to meet. Timothy Stutz, the magical and mystical fairy tale wizard and poet, is a visionary educator, master of multiple ancient arts and sacred sciences, and author celebrated for writing over 260 empowering children's stories that ignite brilliance, creativity, and joy. Oh, Timothy, I know you're going to do some sort of poetry for us in one of your answers to the questions today. No pressure, no pressure. Actually, all y'all are poets. So how did I get so lucky to be in a Zoom room full of poets and writers today? I don't know. Dr. Oliver T. Reed has published 30 best-selling books, contributed to 17 anthologies, and has won multiple awards for his literary work. He has had the distinct honor of speaking to millions around the world and coaching individuals on 4 continents on writing and publishing. You guys get ready. Emily Atlantis Wolf is here. She's an intuition teacher and retreat leader, teaching people how to activate their inner compass and make decisions with clarity and confidence. Welcome, you guys. What's happening?
Thank you. Thanks. Good to be here.
I'm happy that you guys are here. Yes. Okay. Atlantis, you're going to be the first up here. What has writing meant to you in your life in general?
Well, I can say with authority that I believe that writing saved my life. And I say that because I didn't grow up in a particularly easy childhood environment. So it wasn't safe to form an opinion, to express an opinion, I should say. And so I turned to writing because I needed to express what was happening inside of me. And I think, like all of us, things come up, emotions come up. We need words for them. We want to describe them. And it wasn't safe to say them out loud. So I would write them down. And I would write them down in secret in my room at night with a light. And I would never tell anybody. And as I grew up, a lot of what I experienced was having the pleasure of writing as a tool of coping, of understanding who I was. And it was a way to self-soothe and say, everything may be a little crazy outside of me, but inside of me, it's very peaceful. And I have this vast landscape, this interior landscape that I can live in and be quiet on the outside. And so for that reason, I'm grateful that writing was there when I needed it.
I hope that y'all hear the thread that is going to happen when you listen to this series of interviews. No fail, every single interview that we've done for our writing authors, that is the first answer. Writing saved my life. Writing was a lifeline. Writing was a survival tool. So what I want y'all to know is if you haven't dabbled yet, if you haven't decided to open up a journal and just play or dabble or try moving some stuff out of your head onto the paper, like Atlantis is saying, this can be a total transformation and help for you. Is there anything else you want to tell people about that process? Let's say they've not tried it yet.
I think the most important thing is to get pen to paper. If this is not a typing exercise, get the technology out of the way. Make sure that you are bringing things from your head into your heart, down your arms, and onto a page. And if you don't like what you see on that page, it's okay to rip that page out and burn it in a fire. It's not okay to leave it festering inside of you. It does need to come out. You do need to look at it. The easiest thing to do is to give yourself a timer and say, I'm going to write for 5 minutes and I'm just going to blast out whatever is in there without thinking. The key is to feel it, feel the writing without thinking or editing yourself. So the faster you can go, the quicker you can get to the little tiny voice inside that's been squished down for so long. And the more you may surprise yourself that there is strength inside all of your chaos.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for kicking this off today with that brilliant answer. And thank you for saying yes and being in this project with us. Thanks for being back. How many times?
15.
Okay, I'm just checking. It's time for Atlantis's full book, you guys. I hope she's going to be having that happen soon because, when
Yeah.
you get to a certain number of chapters, like you have a whole book in you.
Yeah. And I'm writing it this year, actually. It's coming out.
Fantastic. Good to hear. All right, Dr. Reed, what has writing meant to you in your life?
Well, great question. Writing means and always has been this endless love affair that has always been faithful. It has been something I could run to, something that when I'm mad, angry, disgusted, broken, happy, alone, isolated, outgoing, it never felt to show up. And so it has always been this love. And it sometimes has been that love hate. It has forced me to say things that I would normally hold in and normally implode with. I'm able to explode on the pages. I'm able to be whatever I want to be as I fall in love with writing every time. All the books I've written, it's still like a kid at the candy store each time I'm a part of a great project like this or another book comes out. I fall in love again. It never gets old. So writing has always been that faithful companion that accepts me for me and allows me to be me. And I can dwell in the state of being and not always in the state of doing.
Do you remember the moment where you decided to write for other people to read?
Yeah.
When
It
when was
was
that? What happened?
first grade. Um, it
That
was
early?
first grade, and I didn't even know. Like I was, you guys are a lot younger than me, I believe. But from that standpoint, it's when we had the big choo-choo pencils. I don't know if you remember those. They were the yellow, thick pencils that every time you erased and your eraser got down to the end, it messed the paper up. And we had this brown line recyclable paper at the time. And I was in this writing contest they would do at the end of the year or sometime during the year. I believe Ronald Reagan was president. And I actually wrote this short little story. I ended up getting published somewhere. I'm trying to find it, but I actually won that contest at my school and got published. So that was the first time I actually put pen to paper or choo-choo
Wow.
pencil paper.
Those pencils. I remember those pencils. But that's pretty incredible that it was that early in your life too, to have that influence is pretty impactful. Um, Dr. Reed, thank you for saying yes to this project and for being part of the energy that is and the excitement, that we're sharing about writing. I know that you share that with all the authors and me. Thank you.
I'm super excited.
Timothy, what has writing meant to you in your life?
I think I came out writing. Ever since I could first hold a pen, I loved to write and explore letters and sentences. And I think then in high school journalism, being on the newspaper really sparked me and showed me the creativity I had inside. And then a prompt by an anthropology teacher in college, where he asked a question, and it was almost like you had to go inside to answer the question. And I was surprised what came out. It was almost like I was tapping into other universes that I'd never tapped into before. So that was wonderful. And even as a CPA, what I loved most about being a CPA was the investigative work because I loved Hardy Boy books as a kid. And the other part I loved was writing up what I found. Um, and after that, falling in love triggered deep poetry about love. and commentary about what was going on in society. Taking yoga classes opened up commentary about what was going on multi levels of my own being and society. And then I put all my stories together, all my poetry together in a book, which is another long story. But my mom took one look at this book of love poetry and philosophical poetry, coupled with a teddy bear, and told me it should have been a children's story, that I blew it. And I never wrote anything about kids or for kids, but 6 months later, the first children's story popped in my head. And now, 260 some stories later, I write because I'd rather do nothing else but write and see what comes out of my imagination to inspire people.
Love that. I love it when you guys tell stories about those early inspirations, because a lot of the time when you hear somebody's story about writing, specifically like English class or writing class or whatever that was in their school environment, it's not a good story. It's like the opposite. Like they never wanted to do it again. They ran in the other direction. So I love Timothy hearing your positive inspirations. Yay for those teachers, right? Like,
Yes.
yippee. Timothy, thank you for being back in this project with your beautiful poetry. We're going to hear more about it in a minute or two. You guys, the 369 Tesla Trio poetry is like quite genius and amazing. So I'm not going to ruin it for you. I'm going to let Timothy talk about that in a minute or two. A big thank you goes to all three of you today, for not just for saying yes and being here in this particular collaboration, but taking the challenge I gave you, like real story, real vulnerable, let me get to know you. And you all did it brilliantly. You continue to do it brilliantly, but then your master teachings on your topic of writing. This book is such a gift to writers, and I can't wait to bring it with me to the writers conferences that I'll be speaking at, and to get it into the hands of writing groups where y'all give so many gifts. So thank you. Dr. Reed, I'm going to come back to you for a little bit of a why question. You know, y'all have lived a minute. You could have chosen any story for this book out of many, many, many different ones. And I kind of want to know a little bit of the why behind the story in this chapter.
Yeah, the why came with out of the early age of starting to write. I lost that creativity by a blow. I believe I was in middle school, and in middle school, I had an oratorical contest, and we had to write this monologue. And not just boosting myself or boasting in myself, I actually killed the story. I actually killed the monologue, and judges were crying, and everybody's excited. But then I didn't win. I didn't even place, and I was like, I'm not writing again. And so that led to me pulling back. Like you said earlier, Laura, the wrong direction. And it took me 10 years to write my first book because I was stuck in fitna, and I was stuck in getting ready to, and always trying to perfect it. So I chose this chapter to talk about that story, because a book in your head is still not a book, and all the ideas you have, it really doesn't metamorphose until you release it. And so after that release, I was able to go on and do the great work I'm doing now. So overcoming that was a story that I always want to go back to, and I always put that fuel. Like some people who get to multimillionaire status, they still driving the hoopty that they first had. I kind of borrow my old story to keep going, if that makes sense.
Love that. You guys know what fitna is, right? Like fitting to write a book forever, like 5 years, 10 years. Like, no, you guys stop that.
Yes.
Dr. Reed's going to help you stop that and get it out of your head. And a little more about his tool in a minute too. You guys are going to give some golden nuggets today about this, but thank you for sharing your why, because I think that we could hire any writing coach. We could get with anybody teaching any of the lanes in this book that are about writing, but it's going to be the people who allow us in to their personal world, and we resonate and we're like, whoa, all right, they wrote that for me. And I love the way all of you did that with your stories. So hearing the why is, I think, really powerful. Timothy, what's yours? What's the why behind your story?
Many whys. My story is Tesla 369 poetry, poetic power time. How to instantly captivate and motivate a reader. And the why behind it is the synchronicity of you publishing this book with the synchronicity of me being blessed to download, think of, be given the way to use Tesla's 369 code in poetry. Just needed to be out into the universe so people could experience the wonders of using it in multiple ways in their personal life, their business life. And it also gave me a chance to write an entire chapter using the 369 code and tell my story within that. So it's very synchronistic blessing, especially since one of the pieces in bringing this 369 code into the world was you writing a email about haiku poetry. So the synchronicity of all of this is just so blessed.
I love the way that that all worked out. So if you're a lover of haiku specifically, or a poet that's dabbled with haiku, you know how fun it is to write it and to think about it and fashion the words and count the syllables, and I just love it. I love everything about it. So again, I'm not going to ruin it for you because there's going to be so much richness you can read in Timothy's chapter about his particular version, the 369 Tesla poetry. I loved this the first time that you shared it with us. I don't know where we were, on Zoom somewhere, talking about writing, I'm sure. But
Your writing circle.
yeah, there it was, the writer's circle. And you had us move through it. And I don't know what it is about this. It's easy. And it's something about the counting. It's something about the numbers. There's rhythm in the numbers, but there's magic in these numbers, the 369 numbers, you guys. So yes, you're going to have to dabble a little bit and see what sort of magic comes out of you. But can you imagine writing an entire chapter in it? Well, you will be imagining it very soon, as soon as you read this book. Okay, Atlantis, tell us a little bit about your why.
I'm going to add something to the other comment. I just realized that the first time I wrote for somebody else was in 6th grade, and it was a poetry contest. And I wrote about look to the night sky, what do you see? And it was about flying in space. And I didn't win. I was the second best one. And I know it's because the person in front of me used the word precipice in her poem. And I was so sad and mad and didn't want to write again. And I knew that mine was cooler, but I was whatever. But it's funny because Dr. Reed's story just reminded me about that. The reason why I wrote my story is because I gained the confidence to write about my mystical experiences when I took Laura's writing class. And it was the first time that I said out loud to people, not kidding, it was to a Zoom call, I see spirits and I feel different things. And I still remember the terror in my body that was shaking out of my throat. And it was like, oh, awesome. That was the total response, like, that's cool. And people were sending me DM messages in the chat saying, I do too. And so I wanted to be the next level brave. I'm a master shamanic breathwork facilitator. I see some pretty unusual things, and I keep them all to myself because the way that I was brought up was the person who's in charge of the family is the only person who's the star of the show. So don't be weird. Don't take attention. Don't take the microphone. Don't take the spotlight. And so I'm having all these really interesting experiences, but I have this sort of programming conditioning not to talk about them. So I decided I'm going to let people know what it's like when I experience breath work, and to bring this incredible story about a cosmic dance floor all the aliens and extraterrestrials that are there, one in particular, how that informs storytelling and weaving, and why it was important to me in visceral detail. Not because I want people to come and do breath work, which is awesome, and you're missing out if you're not doing it, but because it is my deep experience of life, and it needs to be shared because it's real. And if I can share my real experience just using breath and music to move into multi dimensions, I want to encourage other people to try it. And I can't do that if I'm playing safe and saying, it's pretty cool, you should try it, it's interesting, it's fabulous. I need to be honest and say, it's mind-blowingly amazing, and you're likely to lose so much of what you think is normal and real without experiencing it for yourself.
Yes, nice. I hope that resonates with a lot of you who've been in hiding, who aren't quite giving us all the impact of your abilities and your magic. You're going to read this in Atlantis's chapter. You're going to read the brilliant writing, first of all, but you're going to get to dive right into that world. And I loved your story so much. I love hearing your why. It's awesome. You and that world is a gift to people. I'm so glad you got brave that day. Yeah, you guys, this is so much more than just a book about writing, honestly. I want to talk about these master tools next. So, Timothy's specifically about your chapter, Tesla 369, Poetic Power Time, how to instantly captivate and motivate a reader. What's the most important thing you want people to know about captivating that reader?
Poetry in general captivates the reader instantly. It stops them. It's something unexpected, and it has a rhythm to it. All poetry, it has a rhythm to it, and it goes in and it sits deeply. And the 369 code, Tesla said if you knew the magnificence of 369, you would have the key to the universe. And he's right. And I know that by writing it. And I know that it creates a, like you said, it creates a harmonic when you're writing it. And it also creates a harmonic for the reader. So we're actually aligning ourselves with the universe by writing it, and we're aligning the reader as they're reading it. And it's just aligning that person with their own inner self. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's magical and it's fun. It's like syllable. Like on the writer's circle meeting yesterday, I think it was Sunday. My prompts came out. I was writing in 369, and I've been writing 70 some years almost now, and I still need to look up syllable counts. I found a word like I didn't know the syllable. So not only do you in writing in this type of poetry, not only do you make your words very concise, but you also learn about syllables, and you learn about condensing something to the essence of it so that the reader gets it, because you only have so many syllables to use.
So, like haiku, this is syllables, not words. So, when you do 369, it's 3 lines, and each of those has those syllable counts, right?
Three syllables in the first line, 6 syllables in the second line, and 9 syllables in the third line. And then
Yeah.
for a longer story, you just keep stacking stanzas like that.
Yeah. For those of you who don't think you're a poet, never wrote it, never tried it, how about you just think of this as aligning with your highest source and use it as a manifesting tool? Like, how about that for, the motivation to write poetry? Like, yeah.
It is a manifesting tool, but that
Yeah.
369 actually has a manifestation component to it. And oh, I forgot. You took it to the manifestation. I forgot what I was going to say about Anyway, I'll let that go, and it might come back to me.
Oh, it gets exciting because it's vibration, it's energy, it's using your words, which have such power. And you said condensing it down to the essence piece that you want to communicate. So this is powerful stuff. And it is so fun. It's so
It is,
fun.
and now I remember what I was going to say. And it doesn't even have to rhyme. I mean, if you can
Yeah.
make it rhyme, that's even more fun, but it doesn't have to rhyme. It's just the syllables that have the magic.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Can't wait for you guys to get your hands on that chapter. Okay. So, Atlantis, most important thing about using storytelling to heal the past. Let me say the whole title for everybody. Weave your web again. How to use storytelling to heal the past. What do you want people to know about this tool?
I want people to understand that their reality only exists for them. It doesn't exist for anybody else. What you perceive as true is only true for you. So when you think back to your life, think of it as, what are the parameters of your life? Maybe you put it in where you lived or how old you are, things, and then you weave your story the way that a spider weaves its web in between the things that you think are permanent. At any moment, you can take the entire web down. You're the only one who knows the strands of that web. You're the only one who decides what's true and what's not true. If you had a trauma, you can reweave that web and make it about you and your resilience instead of what happened to you. Instead of thinking of it as the characters who did something to you, you're the spider, you're the middle, and you can say, I am resilient because of what happened to me. You don't even need to bring those characters into your world, into your reality. You can take big pieces out and re-story, reweave what is true for you. No one else lives your reality or knows how deep things are woven inside of you except for you. You can change it every day as long as you want.
I love that. You're making me think of a friend of mine's book, Phil Tavalacci. I'll shout you out as being one of my best friends. Wrote first collaboration I was ever in was his, What's in Your Web. And that book is you're just making me think of it for the first time. And I've read your chapter a couple of times and I'm like, oh, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's in your web is about the myofascial system. It's a mind, body, soul, but it's a literal physical tissue in your body that's three-dimensional, right? And so what's in your web is yeah, I'm gonna bring you guys together in that.
And it's also in the shamanic world, we talk about grandmother spider. So grandmother spider is the mythical character who weaves all of the webs together for all the families. So the web of the animal kingdom is woven together with the four nations of people, with the trees, with the elements, with the water. Everything is woven together. And so spider is the animal associated with storytelling. So it was a natural coming together that would be the animal that came through in my meditation and breath work.
Perfect. That's amazing. I love
And the
it.
card that was pulled when we started the whole project.
Yes, it was. Oh my gosh, I love how you can't make this stuff up, like the connections. All right. So, Dr. Reed, I'm going to come over to you to talk about yours. And this one is a book in your head isn't a book. Moving from oomph to manuscript. Am I saying the oomph right? Like oh, okay. Like thinking about it to manuscript. Yeah. What's the thing you want people to know about this?
Yeah. One of the things that's so fascinating, I thought about it one day, is I never purchased an unpublished book. Right. I've talked to a lot of people who are in fitna, go back to that term, getting ready to aspire to be, thought about it, And so I really talked about the mental assassination that wars against the literary creativity of the creative, right? So a lot of times, as soon as we think it, we assassinate it. We have an abortion in our head, and we try to put it all together. And so one of the things I always say, I wish I had just a quarter, 25 cents for how many people I meet, Laura, that says, I got a book. I know I'm supposed to write a book. And 10 years later, it's not there.
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest things, if you can win the mental war of just putting one word, I wore my shirt today because I'm so inspired by you, Laura, and all the other great authors in this book, co-authors. Right now, think later. And so from that particular thing, I want the readers to know and share a little bit about just writing. A word leads to a sentence leads to a paragraph leads to a page, and continue, pages leads to chapters, then you have a book. And so I always say that that is the greatest thing, the book in your head, thought process, overthinking it. It took me 10 years because I overthought it, thought it again, and thought I had to finish. And you'll never finish until the end.
Yes, you're all going to be so motivated. There's mindset nuggets in Dr. Reed's chapter. They're going to blow your excuses away. Get ready. And, you've heard me say a million times, what else is possible here? If your stuff isn't written, no lives are being changed. And I will say published, not just written. If you aren't publishing your work, no lives are being changed, right? If you're not out there selling your books, no lives are being changed. And we're here to change the world that way. To all of you, Dr. Reed, Timothy, Emily, Atlantis, Wolf, thank you all so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share with everyone. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
So, to our listeners today, if you can't already feel it, this is way more than a book. You all might have a question today, feel the goosebumps. Maybe you need some support. This is a generous community who is ready to answer the next question you have about their topics. Okay, so I have everyone hooked up down below with their websites. Please go explore and see all the amazing things that they're up to. I'm so proud of the Brave Healer community. I love how you guys got together for this writing project to really teach from your hearts and souls. And I'm so proud of the bigger community who is there. Nobody has to feel alone on that journey with this community that is constantly surrounding you. All right. So reach out, explore what they're up to, ask the question, get the support that you need. And we hope you hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of this beautiful book. You guys can go do that today. The link is below. Lastly, today, everyone, what do I say last? Let's see. Remember, your words, they change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.